Hello everyone, my name is ScarWidow, and today I will be giving a story time about my journey through Universal Studios Hollywood Halloween Horror Nights.
They have surface board pizza and scoops of
The night began with traveling down the entire theme park to Hawkins, where I encountered Argyle's Pizza Place and the adorable Scoops Ahoy before experiencing the Stranger Things house. The house this year was inspired by Stranger Things 4, and I gotta say, it was as satisfying as Eddie finally getting his guitar solo in the Upside Down. The house included Eddie's mobile home, some forest environments, 11 absolutely fucking up 1, and ultimately ended with the big anime battle that took place between both Hawkins and the Upside Down. I thought the overall vibes of the house fit the cute aesthetics of Stranger Things 4, as the kids had some cool moments fighting off endless enemies while being threatened by Goodwill Freddy Krueger. The only downside to the house is the horror isn't really scary, but that's not an issue because I don't think anyone who's over 10 is shitting themselves while watching the series, so I don't think it's fair to be too harsh on rating the scares. In the end, the Stranger Things house was a good old time, and it honestly should be an opener for everyone going to Universal Halloween Horror Nights, as it gets the creepy adrenaline flowing within at a steady pace to prepare for the more intense houses.
This is the closest I'm ever getting to Joel and Ellie right here. This is so cool.
The second house of the night was The Last of Us house. Now, I don't like to be that kind of girl, but I can't help but be a massive fucking shill for IPs that I nerdgasm about on the regular. The Last of Us was already determined by the goddess to be my favorite house before I swiped right on the Halloween Horror Nights Tinder app, and it was still my favorite house. Although the series premiered earlier this year, the house was based on the Naughty Dog video game that released 10 years ago in 2013. That being said, the set design and characters were heavily inspired by what was experienced in the original anime. Going through, I couldn't help but have a massive fucking smile across my round little face as the video game came to life in front of me. The actors who played Joel and Ellie were good, and the clickers were clicking just right. It was awesome to hear Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson's voices throughout the house because I loved them so much, and the reveal of the bloater at the end was amazing. I just wish they would have incorporated the sneaking aspects more, since the video game is the inspiration for the house and that's the entire foundation of the gameplay, but I understand why that's virtually impossible because the line for the house is already long as hell's, so I guess that's an unfortunate sacrifice they had to make to at least shorten the wait time a little bit. Side note, I did almost have my foot broken because a clicker came out of nowhere with an RKO and made a woman in front of me stomp on my toe, and she fell into my free arm, which was awkward as fuck, but overall it was a great time. After having the best nerdgasm ever, I dried my pants off and experienced the dumbest shit ever in the Exorcist Believer house. I don't really have much to say about this house because it's based on a film that isn't even fucking out yet, and I have no interest in watching because I hate cheap jump scares in horror films. Anyways, the house basically spoils the entire upcoming sequel, which is kind of weird because Hollywood is already going to lose a shit ton of money if the strikes are still happening when they eventually run out of new content that they have left. But fuck it, I guess just spoil the whole plot. Back to the house itself, I did like the effects of entire halls becoming transparent, and the scene that takes place in an entirely new place would be shown, but that only happens a couple of times in the middle of the same exact room being shown. Also, the little possessed girls look like aliens with their massive 5 heads. I guess when you get possessed, your forehead gets big as hell because you're fitting your brain and a demon's brain in one skull. Overall, this was my second least favorite house because it was just boring set design, accompanied by annoying loud ass noises for the scares and obnoxious strobe lights. Which, if you suffer from strobe lights, I suggest skipping this house because it will cause you to have a seizure. It's that bad in some parts. However, Although I think this house is ultimately skippable if you want to save time for other houses, it oddly delivered my biggest scream because I was demanding it to be over when a 5-head little girl came running out of the closet to end me.
Exorcist Maze was too scary for me.
The next house on this Witcher quest took me to the worst house at Halloween Horror Nights, Holidays in Hell. And that's holidays with a Z for some fucking reason I don't know. Anyways, this was an original concept by Universal, and I don't think it paid off well at all. The house tried to be clever with making every single holiday horror, and it came off as kinda cringe and not scary. I'm not even lying or over-exaggerating when I say that every single person that I went in with had no fucking reaction. The entire 5 minutes was just the actors trying to scare all of us, and we were just trying to leave to go to the next house. It was painful, and what made it worse was this house had so much latex from the prop bodies and cosplay outfits the actors were wearing that it smelled so bad I got a headache. Overall, if you're indecisive about what kingdom in Westeros you're trying to pledge your sword to while at Halloween Horror Nights before it closes, Holidays can easily be neglected over better houses like Stranger Things and The Last of Us.
Monsters. They walk among us every day. They surround.
Honestly, after 2 mediocre houses, I was thinking the beautiful goddess that the Latin Monsters house was the next adventure on the Fairy Tale Guild board because this house was amazing. The house incorporates a couple of monsters from Latin lore, and it showcased each one with awesome detail. Each monster had a unique set design, and it seemed like Universal put a lot of money into the house as the cosplay was pretty well done. Also, the horror was great as everyone was screaming and having a good old time shitting themselves. The highlight for me was the finale with a giant Funko Pop coming out of a water well. The video may not make it look big, but it was probably 6 feet tall, a straight head, and that's what she said. In the end, this was one of the better ones of Halloween Horror Nights. Following that house was the Evil Dead Rise house, based on the film of the same name that released a couple of months ago. The house was really well done and showcased incredible set design for the limited amount of sets that were in the film. It covered a lot of the iconic sequences in the film, such as the bathroom scene, the entire apartment, the parking garage, and the final anime battle with the Mega Deadite. The beginning had effective scares, and the ending battle with the Mega Deadite was awesome because I felt like I was placed in an IRL Resident Evil video game. I'm a massive fangirl of both the Evil Dead and Resident Evil IPs, so I of course loved the end of this house. Overall, it was an awesome house and one not to miss.
What the fuck is this?
Humans are a pest.
What the heck is going on here,
After doing 6 of the 8 houses, it was time for a little ride on the Jungle Cruise. But instead of going on a cute cruise with The Rock and Emily Blunt, it was the Terror Tram with a bug dude. I wasn't too thrilled with the Exterminators, spelled with a Z again, because I guess Universal is fucking cool and a fucking rebel and fuck me running. Anyways, the bugs from A Bug's Life got tired of the grasshoppers doing Fortnite dances on their heads constantly, so they offed all of them and grew up to be mischievous creatures themselves, who set out to off influencers now? Like what? I guess the bug dude is the leader of this big tribe, and I don't know, it was dumb, but at least I got to walk this set of one of my favorite shows, Bates Motel. Universal also had Jupiter's Claim there, which was the fictional theme park that was one of the main sets for Jordan Peele's latest film Nope, following the creepypasta Bugland, which was a fun walkthrough. For some reason, the Tethered from Peele's other film Us was there, so I guess the multiverse of Peele films was happening, I guess. I was so confused, and I think everyone else was too, at the clashing of all the IPs for one tram ride this year. While I did enjoy the Peele films being part of the tram, I think the bug shit really stank up my perception of the experience because I was dead inside before Jupiter's Claim popped up with all the Tethered.
Today, the sewers of Papi will run red with your blood.
Next house was the Universal Monsters Unmasked house. The house featured 4 iconic monsters from the Universal Studios IP, which included the Invisible Man, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and the Phantom of the Opera. To be honest, I don't even remember this house at all. Like, I feel as though Universal tried to juggle too many monsters in the sub 4-minute house that it felt like a messy speedrun that was so forgettable. The cosplays were fine, and I do remember loving the Invisible Man, as it really did look like he didn't have any skin underneath his cloths. But other than that, I just can't remember any other moments from the house. It felt like a fever dream that I already forgot about, which is kind of bad because I'm recording this audio only 2 days after going. Overall, maybe it's just me, but this house was the most forgettable. The final house of the evening was Chucky Ultimate Kill Count, and what a house to end on. This house was surprisingly a great house. I had so much fun experiencing this particular house because it felt exactly what I imagined being in a world where the Chuckster exists would be like. Just going through the house where he's offing people left and right in his own sadistic ways was fucking hilarious. I'm so glad they decided to have animatronics be Chucky because it would look horrendous having real people who are like 5 to 6 feet tall be Chucky. There were real people in the house, but they were there to be game overed by the Chucky dolls, as it was so funny watching them pop out of the doors screaming for their lives as a Chucky doll was going fucking ape shit on their backs, stabbing them. The house builds up to a 15-foot tall Chucky coming out of the woods, and that's the best way to end a crazy ass Chucky wet dream climax. Overall, the house itself was funny and not scary, but Chucky films were never scary, so it would be dumb to expect a Chucky house to be as scary. In the end, it was an amazing end to a good night. Overall, Universal Studios Hollywood Halloween Horror Nights was a great time. While there were some houses that were duds, like The Exorcist Believer and the Holidays in Hell houses, the rest were really good. The tram was really dumb, but it was nice going through the world of Jordan Peele once the bug shit was over. The actors walking around the front were cool, and the female dolls / clowns were adorable. I tried to get footage or pic, but it was too dark and my social anxiety said it's a no for me, dog. So here's a pic of their cute faces. Anyways, I'll give Universal Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood a... Wait, this isn't a ScarWidow review. This was a vlog / story time, so I guess no rating this time. I'll give it an 8 out of 10, bye.